Good morning and welcome to our kitchen. I'm Gordy Galusha.
I'm Nancy Ostrach.
And today we're going to be making zucchini and sausage squares, double corn and cheddar chowder, and we're going to make a loaf of apple cinnamon bread. And we're going to start off with Nancy.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start off by doing the zucchini sausage squares. And this is a recipe that says, what do I need to get rid of in the vegetable line and what might I have in the freezer that is time to, or what I have available. So when we're taping this, it's the end of the summer, and a lot of us that had gardens probably have some zucchini still growing or just been picked. We're going to need 4 cups of sliced zucchini. It's best if you've got, I used 4 medium size and not too large around. So you've got smaller slices. And in this fry pan here, I am melting, seems like a lot, for a half a cup of margarine, butter or margarine. And I'm going to saute the zucchini in the fry pan.
Did you grow those?
No, I don't. Tried a garden once, but you know, animals,
get after?
you know, animals. If you live, yeah, sometimes doesn't matter really where you live, unless you live in a high-rise.
Right.
Along with the 4 cups of zucchini, I'm going to also add 1 medium, small to medium onion chopped. And I'm going to let that cook down so I can turn it over to Gordy, and she can start her bread.
Okay, today I'm going to make some a loaf of apple cinnamon bread. I had some apples left over and I wanted to use one of them anyway so I wouldn't lose it. So in my bowl I have a stick of butter, which is a half a cup, and I have 2/3 cup of sugar, and I'm going to mix them. Okay, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 2 eggs, okay, I'm going to mix this all together. Make sure it's nice and well combined. Now I'm going to add my flour, which is 1½ cups of flour, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, and 1½ teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to add it right in there. Mix this until it's well blended. Okay, and then I'm going to add a half a cup of milk. Make sure it's nice and smooth and all mixed well. That looks good. So, I have floured and greased a 9x9 loaf pan. And I'm going to bring this all together. I'm going to put a little of this batter in my pan. Spread it around. Okay, I'm going to add some of my apple. I cut up one apple very fine, and you put this on top of your batter. And you put a little cinnamon and brown sugar, which is a half a cup of brown sugar and 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. And I'm going to put this on top like this. This is a good way to get rid of some of your apples that you've had for a little while. Now I'm going to add the rest of the, what you have to do is you have to press this down a little bit in your pan. Okay, and then I'm going to add this, rest of it. Okay, I'm going to spread this out. Okay, that's all spread out. I'm going to add some more apple, the rest of the apple that I have here. And rest of the brown sugar and cinnamon. And you bake it in a 350 oven for about 50 to 55 minutes. Then you take it out of the oven and let it cool before you slice it. I do hope you try it because it's delicious. Oops. I'm going to put this now in, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put it in the oven for 50 minutes to begin with. And then we'll check it after the 50 minutes are up, and if we need to put some more time on it, we will. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Nancy.
Okay, thank you. I want the zucchini and onions to cook down a little bit more, so I'll go on to another part of the recipe. In a separate bowl, I've got 2 eggs, which I'm going to whisk up. I'm going to add to that 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. This will serve a good 8 people. I think it would be good for a potluck because we're going to be baking this in a 9 by 13 pan.
All the vegetables are out now that you can go get.
Yeah.
Quite a few. They've been very abundant all summer long.
Yeah. Okay, how's this going here? To my zucchini, I think first I'll show you the 13 by 9 baking dish. Has 1 roll of your crescent dough. You unroll it and pinch it together so that it's one complete sheet. You put it in the bottom. Now it said a greased pan. I thought with the glass that if I put my spray shortening on it, I couldn't get I want this dough to stick to the pan. So as best as you can, you lay it down, press it together, and then push it up against the side so that you've got a little like a pie crust. And the best I did was not too far up, better on the ends, but the sides are up a little bit. So that is going to be the bottom layer of this casserole when we get it finished. So to my zucchini, I pre-cooked 1 pound of bulk Italian sausage. You could use turkey Italian sausage if you want a little less calories. A little less margarine to saute your zucchini in. So I'm adding this to and I hope my fry pan stays to be big enough. We've got some seasoning now to put into this. We want 1 teaspoon of dried parsley or 2 teaspoons of fresh parsley. With fresh, you always use double what the dried amounts are.
Do you like the fresh herbs, Nancy? Do you use those very much?
No, I don't.
I use dried.
Because they go bad. I mean, you can't keep them. Yeah. And you could use garlic powder. It says 1/4 teaspoon. I like garlic powder, so a lot of seasoning now is your taste. Mm-hmm. That's what I always.
Right.
And 1/4 teaspoon or whatever of dried basil.
I don't like thyme.
You don't like thyme?
No, I don't like the taste of it. Don't know why, but I don't.
And about 1/4 teaspoon or whatever of oregano, dried oregano, of course. And your salt and pepper to taste. And I forgot to bring my grounding pepper, so I could use this. Okay. So we're, should. Mix it well. Keep cooking down those zucchinis because you know they shrink. Make sure you do use a big enough fry pan.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah. To start out with. Now back to the crust here. It said some prepared mustard. We're going to brush the crust with your favorite mustard. This is a maple champagne mustard. Could be Dijon, it could be anything. It just happened to, this is easy to brush on. It's a Stonewall kitchen, which we find in a lot of our stores now, which is Stonewall, which is definitely more expensive than your French's. Okay, so that done. Now, back to my 2 eggs beaten and 2 cups of shredded mozzarella mixed together. Now we're going to add that to the sausage mixture. Let's start incorporating it. Try to get everything mixed in. Then this is going to be poured into the crescent crust. Okay. Spread out. And put into a 350-degree oven to bake for 18-20 minutes until this is all cooked, but we need to get the crust rolls browned up and cooked. Now, the recipe didn't call for it, but I have a little mozzarella left over. Maybe I'll just sprinkle a little bit on top. There's never too much cheese, is there? No.
Doesn't hurt to do it.
As I said, you can substitute turkey Italian sausage for the pork Italian sausage, if you'd like. So, into the oven. And check it about after 18 or 20 minutes. See how the crust is. Okay, now I think we'll just break while I set up for the next recipe I'm doing, get my other stuff together, and we'll be back when I can start that. All right, now that I've finished my first recipe, we're going to get to the double corn and cheddar chowder. Now this recipe is more on the light side. When you think of chowders, you think of cream and milk and, thicker soup. This will hopefully be, yes, thicker, but on a kind of a lighter side. So I already started, because I wanted to cook down 1 cup of chopped onions and a half a cup of finely diced red pepper. Now, the way the recipe went was just do the onions first, and then we were to add the red pepper later. But I thought I'm just changing it so that I cook them both together, cook them down. So now that I've done that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And I'm going to whisk that around, cook it down for about a minute. You get the bitterness out of the flour, like you do all the time when you make sauces, cream sauces. To that, I'm going to add 2.5 cups of low sodium, low fat chicken broth. And I'm going to take it off the heat at the moment. Going to make sure it doesn't lump up. Okay. I will whisk it around. One of my favorite kitchen tools is a whisk. Now we do want to bring this to a boil to thicken it up before we continue. So we might have to break a little bit here to let this get up to boiling and thickening. You don't want to watch me keep stirring and stirring. So we can break, and I'll be back when it's at the right consistency. Okay, got this up to boiling, and it's thickened up as much as it's going to with the flour I put in. Now, to add to that, I'm going to add 1 can of cream style corn. One cup of frozen kernel corn. Now, if you still got some fresh corn, that would be much better than the frozen. I'm going to add that to the mix. And then that would be, if I hadn't done the red pepper ahead of time, you would put that in now. And if you like hot pepper sauce, it says add a ½ teaspoon. I do not keep hot pepper sauce on hand. I do have a little cayenne pepper. Not too much. Better make sure you taste it so that you don't, unless you like something really hot. So, we're going to let that simmer for about 15 minutes. And you can also add some salt and pepper to taste. Okay, so we'll need to finish up these, but we'll have to break while we let the soup simmer. Don't let it boil hard, just simmering for about 15 minutes. And we'll be back.
I just took my bread out of the oven, and this is what it looks like. It doesn't look too bad. If you have extra apples, this is a good thing to make, or make applesauce and use up your apples. Nancy?
Okay, I just took my zucchini sausage bake out of the oven also. The crust has browned nicely, and it only took 18 to 20 minutes, so keep a watch on it. And now I'm going to finish up the double corn and cheddar chowder. It has been simmering for about 15 minutes with the corn and onion and red pepper. And to finish it off, I'm going to stir in a 3/4 to a cup, again, never too much cheese, of shredded cheddar, sharp cheddar cheese. I'm just going to let that melt in, and it will be ready to serve. So when we come back, we will be at our table with all our goodie recipes today. Fall recipes. Welcome back to our table now. We've got 3 choices today. The first one here is the zucchini sausage squares, which the bottom crust is the crescent roll that you have to spread out on the bottom of the baking dish, and getting all the seams together and everything. And the mixture on top is Italian sausage, which I cooked up, bulk Italian sausage, and you add some seasoning to it. And then you also mix with that 2 eggs and 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. This is all mixed together and poured into the baking dish on top of the crescent roll dough. And the recipe didn't call for it, but I did have some mozzarella shredded left over, so I sprinkled it on top, because our saying is there's never too much cheese in some things. Then to go along with that, I made a double corn and cheddar chowder, which is a little more light recipe. No milk or cream in it, but we're using canned cream corn. We saute our onion and red pepper first, and then make a roux with flour and add chicken broth to thicken it up. And then to thicken it even more, you add a can of cream-style corn, then a cup of kernel corn, and if we still had fresh corn, it would be better than the frozen to put in. And then we let it simmer to cook the corn down up, and then when we're ready to serve, we mix in 3/4 to a cup of shredded cheddar cheese, and that makes a nice thicker chowdery type soup. And for dessert to go along with all this, Gordy?
Today I made an apple cinnamon bread, and what I did first was I took some brown sugar and some cinnamon, excuse me, and mixed it all together, and I set it aside. And then I whipped up some butter and some sugar and a couple of eggs and vanilla and flour and baking powder, salt and milk, and I mixed it all together. And then when I, excuse me, when I got it all together and I had the batter all done, I spread half of it on the pan, and then I put some, and I had a large apple that I had peeled and finely chopped, and I put some of that on top of the cinnamon and sugar. And then I layered it again, and then put on the rest of the apples and the cinnamon, and this is what it looks like. It looks kind of good. Looks kind of yummy. If you would like any of these recipes, please send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Dalton Community Cable, 151 Park Avenue, Dalton, Mass. 01226. And that is all from our kitchen today. Have a great day.